starting in 30 seconds or something like that. So when that hits 0 and you're live, that's when you start talking.
Cool.
I don't know what the score line is because I've been doing this.
3-1 to FABRIKEN. Hello and welcome back to game number 2 here of Take the Throne, week number 8. My name is John Allen. With me is Ryan. We have been trying to get a couple of these technical issues sorted out, and we hopefully have got it sorted at this stage. We'll have to see how things go on. But FABRIKEN have turned things around a little bit here on Haven. They are 3-1 up on attack.
And I am controlling the stream now, mwahaha, so do let me know if the audio levels are good and stuff. I'm keeping a close eye on it, and very much trying to keep a close eye on this game. It's FABRIKEN a 3-1 up. It's looking pretty good for them, John. It's been a better start than it certainly was in a sense, so we could go to a third map based on what we've seen so far.
Their attack certainly seems to be stronger, but the defense is pretty fearsome coming in from HypHypHyp. They are obviously 1 map up in this best of 3. But Law gets shut down. 3-1, looking closer to that 4-1 mark, but not without trouble. Guns being limited by frags from the sidelines. A lot of damage found through the wall on the spray. Very, very low there for the Rays, dropping the orbs. Looking to give himself a position to teleport to. Will be able to get up on top of the box. And go straight towards the back of Gong. No way, Kriya! You naughty boy, able to get the headshot towards the back of Mendo. Not a lot of time left. Needs to make it work and make it work now. Kriya in a 1 versus 1, but I don't think he has time. Touches the spike and looks for the final frag. Even if he's not able to close down the spike, he wants it. But 3 kills on the round for Leo. Will go down to the spike. That's a lot of economic damage done.
I think it's looking pretty good. Both for the game, for FABRIKEN, and the stream, I'm hoping, at least. So, again, there is going to be obviously a bit of a delay between us guys casting and you guys in chat because it's a tournament, there's delays, typical stuff, so I'll keep an eye on chat. And yeah, in case you missed it, there was a lot of chunks of time where we missed out, but it was a pretty dominant side from HypHypHyp on Ascent. They won like 13-6, I think it was, John?
Yeah.
Which is fairly decisive, right? That's a decisive result for anybody's standards. And FABRIKEN are considered best in the region, second best perhaps behind Party Parrots.
I'd say certainly on attack they are very, very formidable.
You should expect that, yeah, I guess. Like, they have an attacking lineup. It's interesting to see yet again that they're running without the Sage, and it's going pretty well with them. And the Showstopper Zipan entering the site, he's an entry frag, and when you have ultimates like that, it can be fairly straightforward to do that kind of thing, but that's all he's going to get done. As Petty Skull pulls together a couple of kills.
Oh, Kriya missing the shots over towards Latex on the counterposing Omen. There's 3 versus 3 now on the retake, Ryan. They do have the Neural Theft available, but there's Hunter's Fury for the attack as well as from the shadows for Latex. Plays near the orb, and Kriya spots him out, traded 1 for 1 with Putty Scale, but Hip with this Sheriff is an absolute demon. The smoke orb dropped down, and well, there's really not too much you could do if you're Meadow. Not enough time in the day, unfortunately. Have to get up earlier than that to be able to land it. Headshot found, but too little too late, I'm afraid. The round is 1 for HypHypHyp.
Not done just yet. And I've got to say, like, sort of speaking from a perspective of somebody that follows the region, oh, there we have a couple of frame rate drops, which isn't on my side.
That's on my end as well.
Ah, so this is BDS's fault. It's not ours. I don't think it's professional to throw them under the bus, but I just want it on authority that that's not my fault. That is not that's out of my hands completely. But thanks for dealing with this. It's a pretty big game, regardless. Like it's a shame that we've been mired with technical responses, not only from like our end on Elo Hell Esports, but also like just throughout the whole getting the game from the service to you approach. But yeah, for the most part, you can still see it. You can hear us, I hope. At least it'd be pretty embarrassing if you couldn't. But
yeah,
this is a very B-Tech cast from us, I think, at this point. But it's gone pretty well, and it's gone pretty well for FABRIKEN up until Petty Skull runs into them with a judge.
Shotguns and pretty scale hiding around a corner. Name a more iconic duo. I can't think of one. Hip as well, trying to learn that lesson. Fearoth up close and personal as well. Hip are playing for frags. They are out for blood. Another judge in the hands of Hip, as we said. Finds yet another headshot found, and Fearoth capitalizes from the back. Beautiful, brutal. HypHypHyp converts the round win.
FABRIKEN, as soon as we started properly casting them, were in the lead by quite a lot. I think we jinxed them, John. As soon as we started watching them, I guess they got a little bit shy, potentially. This attack was going so well for them before. Now, not so much, but we certainly expect a bit more from both these sides. HypHypHyp, it'd be great if they could win it, to be honest. It means that we get to see this lineup for one more week. And when it comes to challengers, I think none are more formidable than FABRIKEN right now. So if they beat them, it could beat anyone, it feels.
Latex goes down to the close range Stinger. Will not make it happen, unfortunately. And a nice push coming from Law to try and get that flank. Cypher is watching for it. Hip doesn't get spotted by the bomb buddy. I think there's only a player towards that C-Link. Kriya striking from Garage as well. Law goes down to the Ghost headshot, but Hip is right around the corner on towards that B site. Kriya shuts it down, and it's clean-up time. Under the rug they go. 4-4, scorelines even.
What was it, 4-1 when we sort of started watching them? So this has all been HypHypHyp so far, and there are ultimates available for this attacking team, but it's been really difficult to see it all like pull together. They really struggled to sort of find a site and even get an execute in, get a plant down. It just seems that HypHypHyp are beating them to the punch just before these engagements seemingly need to happen. And it's scary when you are a team like HypHypHyp running into this much aggressive utility. So if you could just stop it before it happens, that's a great way of winning. And you even see it now. Kra's pushing in super aggro, could punish people. That Aldra did spot him.
Oh, I don't think it did. I think you're right, Ryan. Oh, he's caught unawares. That's so unfortunate. Kriya, beautifully timed. Able to land the headshot with the Phantom. Looking for another. Does spot out his counterpart, but sends back to the site. Doesn't want to take the trade. Get away with that advantage. That's all you need, and they'll be able to take that one under wing.
I'm in a bit of French for some reason. It's coming through breathing.
I love it.
It's just now and again, just French phrases.
Attention.
It really adds to the maybe it's like a sign from God or something. Maybe God is French.
It reminds me of holidays in France, listening to the French sat nav. En rond-point, prenez le deuxième sortie.
Ooh,
that's all I can think of. Whenever I hear a French accent, I always think someone's trying to tell me to exit the roundabout.
I wish I had like a xylophone to do like the doo-doo just before. It'd be like an announcement. But speaking of which, announcement for FABRIKEN, still in this. It's a 3 versus 3. Rolling Thunder even dedicated from Shadow, and this A site is looking to actually be hit for the first time in quite some time. The retake is on for the surviving members of HypHypHyp. One of those hips is Hip. He's still alive on the Reyna, doesn't quite have the ultimate, but is going to wrap around into Zipan. We're going to look at that perspective just before they switched away, but look how much space Laura is able to control. Doesn't know that there is going to be a Cypher on that left-hand side, and even Shadow on the site. It's going to be a showstopper. The catch is absolutely nobody from Zipan. He's just going to hold it, but Kriya just coming from behind. That's his second. Oh, it's his third. It's a 1v1 now. Can he clear a house? He doesn't have much time. He's going to be able to grab it. Should have enough time to get that defuse in. Why has nobody signed this guy? I think he's got it.
Not sure.
No, he's got it. 2 seconds.
That was pretty close. He's got the operator as well. A really nice retake there. They bided their time. You can see that Law, as you were saying, controlling so much of that ground outside of the tunnel, and actually gave Kriya the confidence to move forwards and have the impact he did. You're right, Ryan. This guy needs a contract. Get him a pen, get him a paper, get him some ink, get him to write his name on the dotted line, and give him plenty of money for it too. This guy is on fire.
Fergie, sign him up, I think is what people chant in the stands of, well, used to chant in the stands of Manchester United. I don't think Kree would make a good footballer, but he certainly makes a good Omen player if they're ever in need of one.
I'm glad you clarified that was football.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh, did you not know?
Well, when you said Man United, I had a bit of a clue.
Speaking of which, there's a bit of a scream happening in mid. Zipan able to get some damage in on Kriya, who was near on being unstoppable for the most part, at least. Lear is forced to back up, wants to resurrect a teammate, but he's under a lot of pressure. The wall is only going to hold for so long, and there is going to be a Cypher on the other side of it. It's going to go and res somebody, going to res Kree, actually bring him back into the fight, which is good help. The Cybercade is going to block off Leodeds as he's pushing in. The Paranoid is actually going to hit the teammate, and they're going to push on ahead.
Just one player left, and Korea makes short work of it. A flawless round, an eco-res found as well, and look at that. There's so much cash flowing right now. The coffers are chock full. For HypHypHyp, they're up 6-4.5 on their defense, and they're going pretty well. They're out for the victory here. They just want the clean 2-0, Ryan.
Oh god, my scene just went crazy. Was that on your end as well?
Nope, that was not on my end. I am free and clear, fresh as the daisy. Hopefully we'll be able to get that one sorted, but Shadow Lols able to take first face. Hip trades it, and actually a Zipan to go down. Operator's still in possession of FABRIKEN on that attack as Fearoth sends out the Owl drone to try and zone them away. Counterposing Owl drones. One from the attack, one from the defense. 2 players spotted, will get darted. Out comes the Hunter's Fury, looking for the tag. Finds not really too much there, unfortunately. Much more than a slight bit of tag damage. Recon dart sent towards grass, and there's a minute left on the clock as they are going to have to decide where they want to push. They are a player up right now. Sorry, no, they're not. It was even, of course, on the trade in mid, and Kreia goes for his signature teleport behind towards Long, cancels it instead. And they want to fall it on back. They might have an inkling where they're going, and over on A site, the pings start to come down. Pretty Skell with that Cypher, keeping an eye out. Has got traps available on the site to watch it all go through. There's a ping that comes down. First face goes through as Fearoth is going to be able to find it. A nice tag comes through on towards Latex, and Pretty Skull lands the headshot. Neural Theft is there, but they already know there's a threat from the heaven. Ryan, it's not looking good for them, but they're in the post plant.
It's not looking good at all. I think we have game sound again, which is great. Still working my way around this, but we've got some good games happening at the moment. Leoded's able to get in quite a lot of damage. That's going to be the second kill. Gets a third. That was a very quick cleanup of house for FABRIKEN. They could go into halftime equal footing, which would be a lot better than it was on Ascent, John.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot closer, a lot tighter. Perhaps it's just, you know, it was HypHypHyp's map. To be fair, their choice was Ascent in the first round, so maybe FABRIKEN more comfortable, well, certainly more comfortable here on Haven. And their attacking side as well, so the ball is entirely in their court. My question is, can they hold this up when it comes to that defense? That's where we've seen them historically, certainly in this matchup, start to falter just a little bit without that Sage.
It's whether it works or not consistently enough, and Zipan starts off great, really, when it comes to taking out, making it stageless on both sides now. But they have the man advantage killing Law. Fearoth is still going to be holding with the Operator, but has so much utility thrown in his general direction, but is still able to get frags. Still caught it up, he's getting another.
Wow, he cannot be allowed to get those 2 kills there. That's so crucial on the round. 3 players now to bring them even. And that's a lot of work done for FABRIKEN. They have to reconsider. In fact, they are going to move a little bit further back along A long. The Spike's still in the possession of Latex up close towards A, and they haven't left just yet. They're going to hear this one, the orb getting collected. So he does have the ultimate from the shadows available, which means he can go anywhere he wants with that Spike as well. So it could be a bit of an off-angle threat.
That's a good. I think you would expect FABRIKEN to have a good chance at least getting onto the site here. This Latex is teleported right up there, right into the face of here. I think he teleported in hell. I think he tried to go to the high ground, but it didn't quite connect. But now that's going to be the very loud French sounding Hunter's Fury coming on the attack. But it's actually Hip that gets the majority of the damage in. To the point he's even going to dedicate the Empress to try and find out exactly where Leodeds is. It doesn't matter though, Kreia's going to clear it up. 7-5 for this half for HypHypHyp. They are looking to keep hold of this crown, and every side of this game, they've very much been on top.
Now with the Raze and the Breach and the Sova as well, you know, you look at this team and you see how aggressive their playstyle is. And this is really what I've sort of been getting at all of this matchup is that HypHypHyp are very, very strong just all round. They know exactly how to marshal themselves, how to move around the battlefield, whereas FABRIKEN is this all-or-nothing team where they run forwards, and if they get the frags, brilliant. And by the way, they're definitely doing so here in Haven, but you know it didn't happen so well on Ascent, and we'll see if they're able to hold it out on the defense when they're not able to take that aggression as effectively. It looks like they are ramping up though for a little bit of a push along C long, leaving A site almost bare.
They're going to play, yeah, super aggro. Really, well, obviously HypHypHyp are not going to take advantage of that. They don't know, but they are going to run straight into Korea towards the C site. And I think they can base this off. Alright, they've pushed C aggressively. And you can sort of see already FABRIKEN able to take all of this space. It must be aware that there's quite a lot of ground to cover for free near enough, but right now HypHypHyp are sort of falling for this FABRIKEN trap by just staying around C long, not really moving anywhere.
They're trying to wait for the rotates. I mean, there's plenty of sound going on over towards A. The Aldrone does get spotted and maybe looking for a push, but with the majority of the players there, they might be sending that decoy smoke over towards A as well. Drops it down, and it's unfortunately caught unawares. Latex on the rotate. C site claimed, a lovely bait. Only one kill though, and the retake comes through.
Gonna be a difficult one for FABRIKEN to break apart, especially when you have lurking players like Fearoff in mid that can absolutely catch these defenders off guard. To the point that Zipan is now focused in a 1 versus 2 in mid. It's pretty easy and clean for the attackers that are still on the site, because Zipan's had his attention taken away from it completely. Now there's going to be a bit of a brawl. Laura's able to string up some kills together. Petty Skell adding to it as well. They take that easily against FABRIKEN, who just looked a little bit lost.
Law just absolutely dismantled them. You see that? He turned a corner, headshot 180, finds another headshot with the ghost. This guy is absolutely nuts. Stepping up when his team needs him to. And Petty Skell as well, able to clean them up towards the ends, just perfectly refragging. Beautiful stuff all round, and now 8-5. The attack went well on the pistol. They need to try and push for those double digits for that 13 rounds on the board. Still very much in with a chance of beating that previous scoreline, 13-6, that we saw in Ascent.
It's going to be all pistols, though, pretty much from FABRIKEN. Korea can be a bit overzealous, a bit over-aggressive here, and has the utility and guns to help out. The Aldrone just scouting every angle, knows that there's going to be somebody down long, and Korea's going to punish that. Nice play using the smoke as cover, obviously, and then being able to quickly push out of there and know exactly what's coming. Right now, this looks like another easy plant going in that FABRIKEN have to try and deal with.
This is, yeah, it's just got to get the spike straight onto site. Hip bringing up the rear. They didn't expect to take the site so fast. That's why the spike wasn't there, and it just happens. They walk on through, they open it up, they get a kill, and they have a massive advantage at this stage. The wall actually playing into the favor of the post-plant defense here as they're able to shut it down. Shorty not really going to be able to do too much of that range, unfortunately. Law finds yet another with the Spectre. Does get headshot with the classic. Mendo takes it down, but the rest of his team not so lucky. Korea with the 3K, and they get the second eco bash. The 9th round on the board for them, and HypHypHyp are looking to push forwards.
I'm really enjoying watching HypHypHyp play here. I sort of expected with the news that they might roll over and die to an extent, because they are a roster that's only now playing in this tournament. As soon as they're done outed as the king, lose out their crown, this team is done for. So it's making me feel a bit bittersweet here, because we're seeing some really good Valorant, but we might not be able to see much more of it in the future overall. But this could be a last-ditch attempt to get signed, right? If they beat a team like FABRIKEN this cleanly like they have been playing, well, that changes everything, it feels.
Ooh, a nice blast pack actually found there. Korea goes down, not quite available with the res there for Law. One more pip needed, but not quite going to have that in flush supply, unfortunately. In goes the Aldrone. Fearoth leads the way with the recon gathering ability of Sova. Looks like they want to push towards the garage. The wall found for Law, letting him boost up towards and spot out that trap as well. A nice shock that finds just a tickle of damage, and a recon bolt is there, but the spray down and the wide swing is good from Law. Picks up a Phantom as well for his trouble, looks for a second, and finds just that. Has the Resurrect available, but he wants more for his money. Turns the corner, knows there's a player there now, goes to the pre-fire, but just lets up at the wrong time. Mendo finds a second. Oh, he didn't finish the spike. He didn't finish planting the spike, and he's going to reposition it. Okay, he's planting for short and long there. And he's going to be able to play under heaven as well. Pretty Skell very, very close here. Oh, that's naughty. Fearoth going for the triple bouncers to try and get a late post-plant kill.
You're going to be bouncing up and down. That's going to be paranoia. And Fearoth having no fear at all. Like, Pettiskull was there to help with the off angle that he had. Now it's just going to be Zipan that's all the way to the back of the A site. Has to dodge these shock bolts coming in. A Recon bolt is going to give up their position completely. That the spray is going to come in. Doesn't seem likely that FABRIKEN will be able to get this plant. They have to just go for the defuse. Zipan still gets the kill, but it's not enough. Pettiskull is going to put them up 10-5. HypHypHyp are dominating.
Goodness me. And that was on their third round of the half, remember, Ryan? That was on the round where they're on Spectres, where they're on Bulldogs, maybe if one of them bought them in round 2. And then he's going to be on Phantoms, and they're still able to roll it on through, despite as well going down a player early into the round. This is just the coordination that we're seeing from HypHypHyp and the lackluster defense from FABRIKEN.
It's been a crazy game. I hope people have been enjoying it for what the spectacle that it is, really. Look at now Latex pushing down C long. He actually does get some damage in with a Stinger. What is it with Latex and Stingers today? Like, he's doing so much damage, but still has more to do. He's going to try and take that fight and back off, but Fearoth is going to punish him. The money is not going to be good for FABRIKEN, so HypHypHyp are going to relish in the situation that is unfolding in front of us.
Spray's going towards C. It looks like that's where they're going to focus. You can see the spike down on the minimap is pretty close to just wanting to push straight on in there. We'll see if they're able to pick it up and get onto the C site. Historically, they've just walked straight on in this match, so we'll see if they're able to repeat that. Looks like they are going to have some form of resistance. There comes the spike. Does get spotted out. Oh, the recon bolt is there. Teleports again around the corner, but oh dear, Shadow spots it, and that's a gun given over to the defense. They're looking to reposition now. They are going to split. It's 2 versus 1 on both sides of the map. They're getting favor in both areas, but with 30 seconds left on the clock, they're pretty committed to A, Ryan.
You have all of the freedom of the map to choose. But FABRIKEN have got all of these anchored sites covered, but that's going to be Meta being able to spot it. I think they have French voice lines, but they sound so real that they're really, like, alerting me. Speaking of alerted, Pettiskull's position is going to be given up by a recon bolt, but also has the neural theft available to him that gets used. He's going to scout this corner, sees more on heaven, and that's a nice little flick to get that round for them. I think FABRIKEN have fallen apart a little bit, but HypHypHyp have played some seriously good Valorant. Like, this is, you know, they're really brightening up the SPAC towards the end of its life here.
I have to say, I think Korea may be a little bit too big for his boots on that last round. Going for the teleport to the back of C site, that was a little bit fiery. We'll see if that comes back to bite him. But luckily, the rest of his team are able to pick it up, and I have to give credit to Putty Scale. This guy's been absolutely incredible on this attack. He's managed to find these picks and find these cleanups multiple times.
And already HypHypHyp's put under a lot of pressure. The showstopper even dedicated by Zipan. Pettiskull is going to spot exactly where he is, and the pressure coming in from Korea. Even Shadowlaws wants to get in on the action, just runs down mid to get some damage in, and it forces the Resurrect and Fearoth killing Zipan towards double doors, means that there's more space for this attacking team of HypHypHyp to use.
Goodness me. He said cage déclenché, and that apparently means cage deployed. Let's go for it. But Law gets shut down. They invested the Resurrect on this round, and they're now 3 versus 4. HypHypHyp, I won't put it past them. They have got the Hunter's Fury, and again, they just run straight to this A site. They're looking for the scouting arrow. The Cyber Cage deployed in their face. Camera's taken down as well, and the spike makes its way back along a long after some rotates come through. 43 seconds left, Ryan.
Feels like all the time in the world for HypHypHyp right now. They are flourishing currently, and Granted, they are the lower number of players on the field in this 3 versus 4. But look how Petty Scale just had no fear, walked into his death with no fear, and Meadow is going to be able to punish that. He's going to run into more members here. Hip is going to push along Banana, and Fearoff is going to go right around this corner. Try and work out exactly where Meadow is, but Leodad's getting the frag beforehand and gets the one onto Hip. You would have expected FABRIKEN to have a bit of an advantage there, and they very much took it.
Yeah, they... to be fair, it was folly to not double peek towards Heaven, or at least have the angle pre-aimed from both of them, as Leodad's just able to shut 2 down, one by one, and taking those 1v1s is really how you can isolate that attack. And instead of, you know, running up together and maybe one of them going down and they trade it off, it just ends up where they both die, and it's a relatively anticlimactic round. But however, we are still 11-6, Ryan. Still very much in the favor of HypHypHyp.
See what FABRIKEN can do here. It's been a torrid time for them. It's just been crazy to see how much they've struggled. And Kree is able to spot out that intel from the pulse of a Recon Bolt, I think it would have been, as they're pushing onto the site now. Boombot almost gets frags, but gets killed before he takes it in. But FABRIKEN now the ones filling up the kill feed, getting a couple of frags here. This plant is looking to still come in. There's going to be a bit of a Hunter's Fury just thrown around, pot shots, it feels like, coming out of Leodad's. And the spike is going to get planted. Oh, no, never mind, a Rolling Thunder's there to stop it too.
There we go. Gets the Leer out and beautifully capitalized on. They know that the aggression's coming and they shut it down immediately. Korea even held the nerve to watch towards Garage. The Shocked are not really going to fight too much. 2 players left standing. Make that one last over towards CT. Spike finally getting planted here. Ryan as Hip turns the corner. They know where it's easy. 3 kills foul for Hip and 12-6. It's match point.
And FABRIKEN, I'm disappointed. Just generally, it's been a really disappointed performance. I would love to see the scoreboard a little bit more, but I just think from every single member of this team, even though Zipad is still doing quite a lot, everybody feels that they're underperforming. Like, it just seems that they're having a bit of a rough day. They've had a long weekend. They had to qualify for the Vitality tournament, which was like, what, 4 best of 1s and then a best of 3? They're big things, but, you know, FABRIKEN could have topped up a terrific week by beating HypHypHyp here, submitting themselves as the best team in Europe, potentially, by winning up this tournament. And then if they have a good time with Vitality, even better. But HypHypHyp, a team that is dead, you know, it's not existing anymore, is still pulling this one back. They're not dead yet, and look at the way that they're playing this.
Korea absolutely has no fear. Just walks straight on through. They find yet another. There's a player over towards A, Link, and well, if there's a way you want to finish it out, this is it. It's 12-6, as we were saying, match point. 1 up in the best of 3 for HypHypHyp. Spike not yet planted, but they're working on it. They're making sure that they have all of the
Mendo!
possible. Mendo! Oh, he lines up 3 and the 4th as well! Huge plays coming through. Mendo, he bides his time and strikes exactly right to keep them alive. Ryan, disaster for HypHypHyp.
I mean, not too much. They still have like 5 more rounds of opportunities to win this game, and even if they lose Haven by some freak of nature, like that one that we just saw, they still have another map to play yet, so HypHypHyp aren't going to be too upset, but FABRIKEN need more plays like that, now more than ever. This is looking to be a relative save out of HypHypHyp, but these saves, these like half buys, have still caused FABRIKEN a lot of trouble, so they still have a chance to clutch out this round.
Very much so. I mean, these guys, they can keep their wits about them, but goodness me, Mendo, what a time to pop off. Nutty lineup, and to be fair, a little bit overzealous from HypHypHyp. They had B site, they didn't plant. And now they're going to have to figure out what to do in around number 20. So they look to mount up towards A, but there's a lot of presence here, Ryan.
Great amount of presence, like... It's very much a struggle currently for FABRIKEN, but it's all been a struggle, it feels like. But they just haven't had a good time. Korea's forced out. He's actually going to teleport onto the boxes, which is something that doesn't spot. The Recon Bolt is going to give up so much information. Korea keeps doing this, just hiding in his smokes. Waits for some Recon Bolt or some tag to come in from a cage. Or tripwire, camera, whatever. He's able to do so much, but Meda's going to stop him in his tracks before he can do a bit more. It's still only 3 members of FABRIKEN against the 4 of HypHypHyp. Few ultimates available. Well, like I mentioned, this half buy that's coming out of HypHypHyp is still causing problems for the Swedes.
I don't think they're going to make the same mistake as before. They are going to get that spike down. Hip caught out on that rotate. Did have the advantage on the angle, but only had that Sheriff, so
If Hunter's Fury.
gun not panning out. Plant all the way over on C site, and there's a long time to even start this retake here, right?
It sounds like a talent, doesn't it? But the way that they're going to play this is they're going to play super late. You can see that Fear has the Hunter's Fury, so as soon as Zippon or whoever touches this defuse, it's just going to have an ultimate thrown at it. All of this time bought, so they need to touch it now. The ultimate's now going to come through. The recon bot's going to give up all that information. Might not even need to use it. They're clearing a house on its own. And that's going to be it. HypHypHyp, win it out. They keep their crown, and FABRIKEN can't touch it.
They even had the bouncer shock dart as the backup, but they're going to close it down. HypHypHyp, they retain their throne, and I guess we're going to see them back again next week. What a nutty performance from Korea. Honestly, this guy's a menace. Trying to step up to him or trying to even hold off against him is nigh on impossible. Beautiful stuff coming out, and I have to say, you mentioned it during the cast there, Ryan. HypHypHyp just playing Valorant by the book. They are making it work, and to be honest, I don't like that Korea is doing as well as he is. It feels like he's that solo queue Omen in my games that keeps trying to make these flashy plays, and then they pay off by no virtue of his own talent. But he's like, it's confirmation bias, right? Like, but you know, credit to the guy. He's absolutely insane. He lands the shots where they matter, and the rest of his team supporting him beautifully.
It's bittersweet, I suppose. We know that this team is eventually going to hang up its boots eventually, but not just yet. Maybe they don't come back next week. I would assume that they would. Like I mentioned, this is like a weekly tournament with a good prize pool each week. So if they keep doing well, then it's just, you know, a bit extra pocket money of playing together, and a great testament to how these guys can play individually, but also in a team lineup. If people aren't taking Korea more seriously, they most definitely should be at this point. And I think because of that, HypHypHyp have still got some life in them. People shouldn't write them off just yet, even though they have themselves written themselves off. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh dear. I mean, to be fair, a lot of people have written the squad off at this point. I mean, I mentioned it earlier as well. I mean, on Liquipedia, HypHypHyp, their description. This is their whole description, by the way. HypHypHyp was a French team, which is phenomenal. I love that. I love that phraseology. I love everything about it. But I think that you're right. I mean, these guys, they have so much talent that they have to offer. So we'll see what they're able to come through with in the future. It'll be really exciting.
People saying G2 Korea, we mentioned before that Carlos wants him, I'm pretty sure. I think they're not really looking for an Omen one trick, but I think based on these results, it might be interesting to see what he does in other roles, but it's hard to say. Maybe they move over Patty Tech to play the Sage or Pyth, both of these supporting players. That could certainly line up nicely, but it's hard to say. That's going to be it for this week, though. Again, apologies from myself and everybody that's had a couple of technical issues on our end. We'll be sure to make sure that the stream is nice and sprucey for next week. It's going to be a banger no matter what teams end up playing against the Kings, but HypHypHyp, even though it's kind of like Jon Snow dying in Game of Thrones and then being resurrected. Spoiler alerts, but let's face it, nobody's watching Game of Thrones anymore. Even rewatches, but they're not dead. They're not dead just yet. They may have a bit more time on the clock, and I think because of that, they're going to be great. Any final thoughts, John?
Not really. I think we've pretty much covered the whole thing there. I expected a little bit more. I mean, you bigged them up to me, Ryan. You told me that we were going to have a massive performance coming out from FABRIKEN, and I was kind of believing you when we saw them started from CS. But HypHypHyp, it's like it's when the young bucks come up and try and challenge the old seasoned Sea Dogs, and they're sort of, you know, they're all like, we're gonna roll straight over you, and then they're like, yeah, okay, you reckon, come on then, let's have a go. And that's exactly what HypHypHyp were able to do. So I mean, you know, experience over what is it, age over beauty? I think that's what they say.
Age over beauty. That's kind of how it feels, and maybe French over Swedes, but I guess that depends on who you talk to. Be sure to follow the channel for more Valorant games. This will be on this time next week with any luck, unless there's some clash of other tournaments like last week, which I don't think there should be off the top of my head. But HypHypHyp winning out this week, keeping the crown. We'll see you guys next week, and have a good evening and the rest of the week. Take care.